Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. So with the meta rapidly approaching solved, people are looking to the newly released Destiny Soldiers set to see if anything in there can play with the big boys. Now, there are some promising names, a bunch of really powerful Dark Lord cards are in that pack, alongside Celestial, I guess, and there's a reprint of Trade-In that looks better than the common one. But one archetype that doesn't seem to have really stirred any discussion at all is Abyss Actor. Today I'm going to take a look at that archetype and see if it can play with the big boys. Let's jump into Deck Edit and I'll show you what I'm playing. So, this is the list we settled on. Now, for those of you who don't know, Abyss Actors are a series of Pendulum monsters released in the new Destiny Soldiers pack. I guess the lore behind them is that they're a troupe of actors who play protagonists, antagonists, and like comic relief in plays and musicals denoted by the Abyss script spell cards. It's a pretty cool concept, but unfortunately, you realize pretty fast that all of their effects do radically different things that don't play well with each other. They're all super specialized in what they do, kind of like real actors, and as a result don't really form a cohesive unit or any sort of linear game plan. You have ones that change the attack of your opponent's monsters, you have ones that set Abyss scripts from your deck, you have ones that change your own scales, you have ones that add Abyss Actors to hand, a bunch of different things, none of which play very well together. However, since I'm trying to make the deck as competitive as possible, I've included a number of cards that you're probably eyeing already. Let's go back to the beginning and I will reintroduce you to the Abyss Actor archetype, starting with Evil Heel. This is an 8-star monster with a pendulum scale of 1. He is a 3,000, 2,000 big beefy man. His effects are basically win combat more. If he's destroying your opponent's monsters by battle, you are setting Abyss scripts from your graveyard back to your side of the field. Unfortunately, the only really good Abyss script destroys face-up cards, so if you're already destroying their monsters in combat, why does that really matter? More often than not, this card ends up in your scales just because it is an obscenely low scale, and having a 1 is really great. Next, we have Abyss Actor Superstar, an actual superstar in the deck. This card is absurd. When it's normal or special summoned, you can't activate a spell or trap card in response, and once per turn, you can just completely set an Abyss script from your deck. It's absolutely nuts. And the Abyss scripts range from really bad to really powerful, so you get a little bit of flexibility with this guy. Honestly, heart and soul of the deck, beefy beater on its own. Having it be repeatable is pretty sweet. 3 copies of Abyss Actor Sassy Rookie. It's a 4-star, so you can make our rank 4s. It has the Dynamist effect where if a bunch of Abyss Actors you control be destroyed, you can just destroy him instead. And the first time he would be destroyed by battle or card effect each turn, he's not. If it is destroyed by battle or card effect of your opponents, then you get a really sweet effect. I believe you get to special summon, a level 4 or lower Abyss Actor monster from your deck. And if it's destroyed in the Pendulum Zone, you target a level 4 or lower monster your opponent controls and destroy it. Next is Wild Hope, the only good one. This guy can target himself and gain 100 attack for every Abyss Actor you control with a different name, but also can be put in your Pendulum Zone and change your other Pendulum scale to a 9, which allows you to special summon things like Evil Heel. He's really cool, and we're playing 3. Next, we have Abyss Actor Leading Lady. This card is only okay, has a bunch of effects that trigger when you take battle damage or when she's destroyed by battle or card effect. Basically, just rely on your opponent not to actually read what the card does. However, she is an Abyss Actor, she is 4 stars, so we are playing her. Next is Funky Comedian. This card sucks ass, but he has 8, so we have to play him. I mean, I can't really describe it outside of that. He is an 8 scale, so we need a high scale, and here we are. Next, we have 3 copies of Abyss Actor Extra. This card is pretty good, actually. You can put it in your scales and then special it if your opponent controls a monster. Then you contribute it to put an Abyss Actor from your deck into your scales. So usually you're getting Funky Comedian or Wild Hope. Then we have 1 Luster Pendulum and Draco Slayer just to fuel our face-up extra deck. We want to be able to pendulum summon as many guys per turn as possible. 1 copy of Majespecter Unicorn Kirin. I don't have to tell you how powerful this card is. And 2 copies of Majespecter Raccoon Bunbuku. The idea here is that there's not any weird restriction on these cards. It's like you can only special summon Abyss Actor monsters provided you don't do a certain set of things. So we might as well put Kirin in here as just the fiat most powerful pendulum monster. 3 copies of Archfiend Eccentric so we can have repeatability and destruction. There are things this deck has trouble getting over. 3 copies of Allure of Darkness because they're all dark. 1 Regeki. Now we're on Abyss scripts. So I've included 2 Abyss scripts. The first is the good one, Rise of the Abyss King. You get to target face-up cards equal to the number of different Abyss Actor monsters you control and blow them up. If you have a 7 or higher monster like Superstar, this can't be negated, and you get a busted effect if they destroy it while it is set. However, that never happens. I'm also including one Abyss Script opening ceremony because there's a lot of times you go first and have to search an Abyss Script and you can't really destroy face-up cards if your opponent hasn't played any yet. This just gains you life points, but still probably fine. 2 copies of Desires, 1 Abyss Actor Backstage. This card is like Wavering Eyes, but you don't have to destroy them. And 1 Vanity's Emptiness. In the extra, we've got 7 Sins and 8s for our Evil Heals, 7s for our Superstars, and 4s for the remainder. So let's jump into the games and see how it works. So I'm going to try and show you exclusively meta replays with this one because I want to prove that the deck has the ability to compete with them. Here we're playing against Paleozoic Frogs, a deck that has slowly but surely been climbing up the ranks to probably one of the top 3 or 4 decks. We've opened all right. We have a Bunbuku, which means we can get our Kirin. We also have a Wild Hope, which means we can Pendulum Summon. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Our opponent's going to go for a set 3. That's a Waboku, a D-Barrier, and a Lanoclia, which unfortunately is off right now. So we're going to start by putting our Eccentric here and blowing up one of these cards. I don't know what he's on, but setting 3 makes me feel like it's Toad, and I feel like blind MSTing isn't the worst. He's going to flip up a Dimension Barrier. I'm just going to kind of force him to be proactive here, and I'm like, okay, well, that means we can't win this turn. I am still going to try and blow up a card. I hit Waboku, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just end. So, knowing that he is on Frogs, he's not going to be able to pressure me in any meaningful way. He just sets 2 more and passes. I'm going to summon Bunbuku, use its effect to get Kirin. Then I'm going to summon Sassy Rookie and Funky Comedian to my scales. I'm feeling like this is probably the best option because it prevents my monsters from being destroyed in any meaningful way. I'm going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon a couple of guys. Going to get Kirin and Wild Hope. Important to notice, I could have put Wild Hope here, made this guy a 9, and then summoned Evil Heal, but I don't really feel like super overextending, and I figure in a lot of scenarios, Sassy Rookie does get destroyed as a result of protecting one of these guys, and I want to be able to have like a really low scale no matter what, so I can recur like Bunbuku. So we're going to start off by Wild Hoping itself, and here's the Waboku. He's going to flip up this Reckless Greed, which is not great for me. He sets a Solemn Notice, a Pikaia, and a Canadia. I don't know why he would set the Pikaia because he knows he's not going to draw into anything. Either you pick the Pikaia or you pick the Canadia, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and Wild Hope right here and start attacking. I get in for a sizable amount of damage, and then he Canadias. You can't target these, so he's got to target Wild Hope. That's fine. I'll just beat in for a little and then end my turn. He doesn't get to draw because it's turn 1 of Reckless. He actually only has the Solemn, really, for any sort of defensive play. So I'm going to use Wild Hope's effect. He's going to Solemn it, take 15 instead of 16, but guess what? I can destroy the Rookie instead, so I'll just beat in for lethal here. So this next game, we're up against ABC playing 1 copy of Jumbo Drill. Guess what that's for? We've opened all right. We once again have a way to get Kirin, but not really a whole lot else. We can perform a Pendulum Summon with these 2, but I would really like to actually Pendulum Summon some things. Our opponent is going to go first, I believe. Yep, so they're going to go ahead and get Thrasher, then summon Crush Wyvern, go into Tuskyomi, set a bunch of cards, and then use it. That's okay for them, but really great for us because we don't really, have to deal with anything. This Scramble Union is an odd choice, but sure. We're going to start off with Pot of Desires like an idiot. I should have Majespecter Raccooned first, and wouldn't you know it, oh, there's both Raccoon and Kirin in the banished pile. I guess I did get punished here. We're going to Allure of Darkness, normal summon this Raccoon like a stupid idiot, and then go ahead and special summon a billion cards, meaning exactly 1 Superstar. This gets us Opening Ceremony because we have 2 Dark Ruler in hand. We're going to go ahead and flip that up in a second and gain a whole 500 life points. Then Dark Ruler away this Tuskyomi and start attacking. We have a Vanity set, which is exceedingly good in this deck because we're pendulums. We are pretty good at not sending things to the graveyard. So I have a lot of different ways I can probably engineer a lethal over the next couple of turns, but I want to, play it as safe as possible. He's going to set this Maxi. I figure I can get him here. Going to Allure of Darkness and Archfiend Eccentric. I am intending to blow up this set card. He Floodgate Trap Holes. I'm like, okay, I'll Regeki your card and then beat in for lethal. So, third game, we're playing against Metalfoes, playing Guiding Adrian and Foucault's Cannon. Pretty interesting decision there, but I think it's, definitely not the worst one. He's going to go ahead and use Adrian's effect. I give him Grand Horn of Heaven. He picks Strike, Solemn, Great Horn of Heaven. That's because the other Solemn's in his hand. I'm not too jazzed about that. Feels pretty bad, to be honest. So he's going to Eccentric away his own combination in order to add a scale to his hand and then perform the magical Pendulum Summon. I'm feeling all right because I have Regeki, and I figure if I figure something out, I can probably get pretty far. I know he set a counter, so I'm going to lead with an eccentric, blow up his scale, which gets him to pop the counter. Now he has 4 cards. I'm going to go ahead and fire off this Regeki, and now I'm in kind of a commanding position. I know that I gave him the Great Horn of Heaven, so I'm going to play pretty conservatively, just Pendulum Summoning 1, but, here's the Solemn Notice anyway. So that's the end of my turn, and wouldn't you know it, right off the top there's Rescue Rabbit, probably the best card remaining in his deck. He gets 2 Gold Drivers, beats in for 1,000,000, and then he's going to Castel one of my scales away. So this is really, really bad for me, actually. I don't really have a way to come back from this. We draw Allure, so I figure I might as well Allure, and I do, in fact, find Pretty Heroine, which if he destroys, I get to search. He's going to banish counter to add Silverbird back to his hand, then play Bismugear. I kind of have to Vanities at this point, because if I don't, he's just going to Pendulum Summon like 10 billion monsters. He destroys this Heroine, which allows me to set Abyss Script Rise of the Dark Ruler, and if I find an Abyss Actor that's level 4, suddenly I'm in business. He's going to go ahead and destroy Bismugear to set full Metalfoes Fusion. That's fine with me, because he can't Special Summon. Then he's going to add a Stealer into his hand. So we... unfortunately, also cannot pop our Vanity's Emptiness without doing anything, so we're going to go ahead and play this Abyss Script to get it off the board and to start getting in. I understand this is the end of the game for me, because once he places the Stealer in, I'm just going to get blown out by the 57 cards in here, but at this point I was thinking, there's no way I can beat Great Horn in any sort of world where I'm trying to repeatedly Pendulum Summon. There's no way I can beat, like, Alicast or anything like that, so let's at the very least have a little bit of fun and beat in with Wild Hope for one more turn. Unfortunately, our Wild Hope expires right after, when he plays Stealer in, Pendulum summons like 8 or 9, 10, 57 different cards, and wouldn't you know it, immediately goes into Mithril, shuffles a bunch of cards back into my deck, and attacks me for 10 billion points of damage. So we're back with a deck. I think the loss to Metalfoes was pretty illuminating. This deck actually seems to occupy a lot of the same space in the meta as Metalfoes does, just because it's a Pendulum deck and therefore has good matchups against decks that can't deal with repeated Pendulum summonings. However, unlike Metalfoes, it lacks the ability to make the unbreakable boards that the deck is kind of known for. Its very best draws include like a Kirin and a Superstar, and its worst draws include like setting 2 and passing because you don't have enough to establish scales and perform a Pendulum summon. Drawing a bunch of cards is really nice, but unfortunately doesn't do a whole lot, and if they would just release a playable script, I'm not complaining about how good Rise of the Abyss King is, but if there was a second one that was worth anything, that would be a lot better. At the end of the day, it just feels like a version of Metalfoes that doesn't have enough self-synergy to compete with top meta threats. And while we stole a couple of games against, arguably bricking ABC players and Frog players, probably not good enough to compete in the current meta. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed watching another bad player play Pot of Desires. I hope you enjoyed watching me put my theater degree to good use, and most of all, I hope you just enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give me a like, a comment, or a subscribe. It would really help me out. And if you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I am intermittently on Twitch. Link is in the description below. Finally, if there's a certain deck or archetype you would like me to explore in a future episode of this show, let me know in the comments section below, and I will do my best to get to you. Otherwise, I will see you on Thursday.